Greetings. This is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. Welcome to This Week in Prophecy. Today's topics, we got lawlessness, Magog's mess, and Taiwan. It's good to be back. Been off for like last week and a half or so. A little family fun. So back in action. Of course, when you go, things happen. We're going to start with Matthew 24, verse 12, because lawlessness is increased. Most people's love will grow cold. So here we are, day 5 of the riots and counting in France. France is on fire. As of this post, 719 and counting have been arrested across France. Not going to spend a whole lot of time, just kind of hit some highlights here. What do we got? Let me back up here just a little bit. And this has all got started by the death of Nahel Merzouk, a 17-year-old of Algerian descent. He was shot by the police, and there's plenty of video of that on Twitter and on the internet. For those of you who have seen it or want to see it, keyword his name in, and you'll see the video of it happening. He was shot by the police during a traffic stop in the Parisian suburb of Nanterre. Nahel played rugby and enjoyed the rapper Jewel. Everybody wants to write about this rapper Jewel more than they want to write about this kid in a lot of the press. Now, for those of you who want to take a deep dive, all kinds, over 100 pictures, all kinds of stories, if you will. We'll go here to Daily Mail. I'll give you a look at that. Well, maybe I will. There we go. Police make 719 arrests as France burns for a 5th night. The mayor, Vincent Jeanbrun, says rioters rammed a burning car into his home. It was an assassination attempt. Left his wife and one of his children injured. I'm not going to go through a lot of detail. Tons of pictures with this. Again, over 103. Daily Mail's about the only one doing an in-depth job of what's going on over there. Now, our press over here in the United States is by and large, of course, asleep at the wheel, covering this for reasons unknown. I don't know. But all kinds of things being set on fire over there. Pictures of cars burning. Pretty self-descriptive. More cars that have been burnt. You got videos of things going on. A couple of minutes here. There's the mayor of Paris talking about it. Again, more video. Tons of pictures, over 100 pictures. So, again, not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that. They're just setting stuff on fire and rioting. Have seen some tweets and some other stuff. The military's getting fed up with that nonsense over there and kind of explaining to President Macron, hey, you need to clean this up or we will. Nothing official, but I've seen a couple of tweets and some concerns with some of the citizens allowing this stuff to continue to happen. And this is from Wall Street Silver summary of the 5th nights of riots in France. 871 fires on public roads, 577 burned vehicles, 74 burned buildings. Again, 719 people arrested, 45 officers, law enforcement injured as well. Now, have fun, fellas. Send it up. Enjoy it. Enjoy tearing stuff up, putting stuff on fire. Little reminder, Matthew 13, verses 40 through 42, they still matter. So just as the tares are gathered up and burned with fire, so shall it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man, that'd be Jesus, will send forth his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all stumbling blocks and those who commit lawlessness, and will throw them into the furnace of fire. in that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, for all you sensitive folks out there, yes, this is called judgment, and it is going to happen. These are Jesus's words. He's telling you what's coming, and if that upsets you and triggers you, I'm sorry, but it says what it says. And this nonsense will not go on forever. However, I do think it's pretty fair to say that it is going to increase as the time of his return gets closer. And I just typed this up. French riots 2023. And then here's just a collage of pictures from various news outlets and what they're saying about it. And you can click on any of these, and they got some stories. But I looked at the European Conservative, and that was like 8 pictures. 2 or 3 of them were in regards to this. So in some cases, they want you to think it's a big deal, but they really don't do a whole lot of coverage of it. And you look who's covering this: The Telegraph, Guardian, BBC. They're all English. Daily Sabah, Turkey. European Conservative, Local, France. Sputnik, India. Reuters, there's your first American. New York Post, more conservative. They take a stab at it. And again, CNBC throws a little bit to it. Al Jazeera, BBC. Again, our press is absent on this issue for whatever reason here in the United States. I don't get it, but it is happening. And just because they want to stick their head in the sand and not pay attention to it doesn't mean it's still not taking place. And it's just a classic example of lawlessness that is increasing across our world. We got our fair share of it here in the United States. We had some shootings over the weekend. I think some in Baltimore. We have lawlessness on the political level. We have all kinds of nonsense taking place with Hunter Biden. We have people insider trading, both parties. Now the left would say Trump's a criminal. Fine. I'm not going to get into that, but there's plenty of lawlessness going on around the planet. And with that, we're going to transition to Magog and friends. That'd be modern day Russia. Ezekiel 38 verse 6, part B. From the uttermost parts of the north, with all his hordes, many peoples are with you. And so we're going to be talking mostly today about this little incident that happened approximately a week ago in Russia. With all his hordes, many peoples are with you. And so we're going to talk about the Wagner group leader Prigozhin agrees to stop his attack against Russia. And again, about a week ago, it looked like this group, the Wagner group, was staging a coup against Putin's government. And then right as he's on the doorstep of Moscow, he decides, I've done what I need to do. I'm going to call this thing off. I don't want to spill any blood. Well, Belarusian President Lukashenko held talks with Prigozhin. Prigozhin has agreed to stop the movement of armed persons on the territory of Russia and take further steps to de-escalate. Now, Prigozhin claims that there was no blood spilled, no more blood was spilled. And here's the release message from the press service of the president of the Republic of Belarus. This morning, Russian President Vladimir Putin briefed his Belarusian counterpart on the situation in southern Russia with the private military company Wagner. The heads of state agreed on joint actions. As a follow-up to the agreement, the president of Belarus having additionally specified the situation through his own channels, and in agreement with the president of Russia, held talks with the head of Wagner PMC, Yevgeny Prigozhin. Negotiations continued throughout the day. As a result, they came to agreements on the inadmissibility of unleashing a bloody massacre on the territory of Russia. Prigozhin accepted the proposal of President Lukashenko to stop the movement of armed persons of the Wagner Company on the territory of Russia and take further steps to de-escalate tensions. At the moment, an absolutely profitable and acceptable option for solving the situation is on the table. with the security guarantees for the Wagner PMC fighters. As previously reported, also during today, the president of Belarus held 2 meetings with the power bloc of the country on this situation. And that's pretty much what happened. Part of the agreement was Prigozhin and those associated with the Wagner Group are now in Belarus. Now, the reality of that is they are also closer to Kyiv. I think we need to keep our eyes on that. But things have gone pretty quiet. No charges are going to be brought against Prigozhin, and nothing has happened. A week later, Wagner Group had some concerns with, I believe, as a Minister of Defense, Shoigu, wondering about, how fit he was to lead the troops. Lots of folks inside of Russia are upset with how the war is going in Ukraine. They're still fighting over there, still blowing up things. And then a week later, here we are, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko is talking out of both sides of his mouth. And I'm going to quote the President Lukashenko: "As we move along, we become more and more convinced that that would be nuclear weapons, must be stationed here in Belarus in a reliable place." Oh, yes. That's a great place. Let's give them to somebody who's got a little bit of a little power hungry. "I'm certain that we will never have to use them while they are here, and no enemy will ever set foot on our land." That's President Alexander Lukashenko. Now, about a month ago, once he received delivery of the nuclear weapons, he was explaining to everybody, hey, he'd be willing to use these. And he was working on developing an algorithm to determine, what the fallout would be if he were to use said nuclear weapons. So he had that agreement he reached with Putin of Russia. So, and this is clear. Belarus does possess nuclear weapons, and they're going to be receiving more from Russia by the end of this year, 2023. So here's the link if you guys want to check that out. This is from Reuters. Belarus leader says nuclear arms, well, they will not be used. Okay. You guys have seen him before in the past. He's taken plenty of pictures and stuff with Vladimir. They're all chummy. He also may have exposed some of the details prior to the invasion of Ukraine. He went out and went to thumping his chest and maybe giving away some war plans and maps and what they were intending on doing. And he got scolded a little bit from Vladimir over that. He said on Friday he was certain Russian tactical nuclear weapons deployed in his country would never be used. That's what he said a couple of days ago, earlier this month. Yeah, I'd be willing to do it. Okay. Some tactical weapons have arrived in Belarus. Some. There's the quote we took from it. As said earlier, one point suggested he would not hesitate to use them if necessary. Consultations with Russia, of course, would be needed. Absolutely. So, if anything that has happened, that situation has gotten more complicated. And they are, we'll just look at a map real quick of where, Belarus is relative to Kyiv. We'll zoom in. Whoops, need to go a little bit further. So just to recap, Wagner was headed up the highway towards Russia. They were stationed right in this area. Well, gets up here within say 200 miles or so. Now he's headed over to Belarus. Now he's camped out down here in the south. Well, he's closer to Kyiv. Don't forget that. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they send a bunch of people in from the North Wagner Group. And then all these tactical nuclear weapons are over here in the west of Belarus. So a lot going on. The whole thing just seemed weird to me as it happened. I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But anyway, that's pretty much the highlights of what had happened on that deal. That was pretty interesting to watch it as it was going down, but nothing really came of it. And then while all this was going on, Secretary of State Blinken, he went to China and then makes this statement, specifically said, we do not support Taiwan independence. And he too kind of engaged in some political speak and talked out of both sides of his mouth and pretty much made it clear while he was in China that we, the United States, do not support Taiwan independence. He also did make the comment that Taiwan should retain the ability to defend itself. So it made me think, well, okay, so we'll be fighting two little proxy wars, one through Ukraine and potentially one through Taiwan. Now that one with Taiwan's a little bit more sensitive just because of all the semiconductors that comes out of that part of the world. Taiwan provides the majority of semiconductors for the planet. And if that goes down, global economy comes to a grinding halt. Well, not grinding, an immediate problem, and then the price of electronics skyrockets overnight. So Taiwan Semiconductors, as well as some other semiconductor companies, are building plants like crazy in and around the Phoenix area. So you guys watch Michael Duville. He's talked about that at length. And, the build out for that to take place, a good 30-year expansion before that is realized in full. So we got plenty going on planet Earth over the past week or so. It's good to be back. We'll probably be in touch. We got the 4th of July coming up here in a couple of days. Hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th of July. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Have yourself a good one. Take care. Bye.